Okay, here we go. The book cover I'm going to make is 6 by 8, and when you're done, the pages inside will be 5.5 by 7.5. First thing we're going to do is get chipboard. Now this stuff is 0.33. It's pretty heavy. It's cereal box plus. You can indeed use cereal boxes. Whatever you have. You could glue 2 layers together if you don't think it's heavy enough. But you need 2 6 by 8 pieces, and I've marked that here. This piece will be used for the spine. We don't know how much yet until we build it, and you'll understand that in just a moment. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment. Now, I use the Hidden Hinge System, created by Kathy Files. And depending on the type of project you're doing, depends on how you create your hinges. These are 6 pages, all of them. It just depends on how big you make your gutters and your hinges. 2-inch wings on each side minimum. This one is a 1/4 inch all the way across. So you end up with a 1/4 inch gutter and 1/4 inch hinges. And you would use this if you're not going to embellish much on the inside, because you want your book to be flat and not fan out when you've got it built. And you'd really like it not to fan out after it's been filled. I never use this, by the way. This measures 8 3/4 inches of paper wide. The height is going to depend on your book size. So ours, since it is a 6 by 8 book, since the book's going to be 6 inches tall and the pages are 5.5 inches, this will be 5.5 inches, less a skosh, not much. And the next one here shows 3/8 inch gutters and 1/4 inch hinges, and this is 9 5/8 inch total, again with the 2-inch wings. When this one's all folded down, it's about 5 3/4 inches that you would need to cut the spine, and this one is 6 5/8, so less the 4 inches on each side. And the same thing on here, so this spine's going to end up being about 3 3/4 inches, no, 1 3/4 inches. My math is terrible without a calculator. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Okay, so we take 4 inches off this, it ends up with a 2 5/8 inch spine. And always leave the gutter space first and last. You really want that. And then this is the one that I usually do because I like the extra stability and the extra width. And it's 3/8 inch gutters and 3/8 inch tabs. And I think it ends up 2 3/8 when I'm done, but I won't know until we put it together, and we will know because this is the one I am going to build. When you do your spine, you can see the red line here is where you fold, is the up fold to make the hinge, and this is simply then you'll go on the inside and you'll glue these together after you've applied your Tyvek. And if you want to, you can apply your Tyvek before you score. I don't do it that way, and it's just because I don't do it that way. So there we go. Let's I've used a really thick card to show you this. You can see here it wants to crack, and this is not good. Use the plain softer cardstock, and using your pattern paper to make the spine is not a good idea, because it generally, and I have never had it not, the times that I've tried it, it will crack. So the first thing we're going to do is get out a piece of, I'm going to get ivory out because I'm going to do, this is all light colors. And I get my ivory and my black cardstock at Michael's, and my white I just buy wherever I can get it cheapest, off a supply store usually. Sometimes I can find, with the 50% coupon at Michael's, it's worth buying it, or when they have the 3 for 10s. But anyway, okay, so we're going to start with a piece of white, and I'm going to cut it to the height I need. This is 8.5 by 11, which is plenty of width. I really like to do larger gutters, but I'm not going to today. Larger wings on each side. And I'm going to cut this to 7.5, less a 16th. I like to have a little bit of wiggle room for putting my pages on. Okay, now you simply need your scoreboard. You need a scoring tool. I use a ball tool. And there's my 2 inches. My first gutter, 3/8. 3/8. Hinge set 1. Gutter. Hinge set 2. Gutter. Hinge set 3. Gutter. Hinge set 4. Gutter. Hinge set 5. Gutter. Hinge set 6. And let me count and make sure. Gutter, hinge, gutter, hinge, gutter. 3, 4, 5, 6, gutter. Okay. And I don't quite have 2 inches on the end. Okay. So this is 7.5 by 11. So I'm going to get some Tyvek, and I'm going to cut it to nearly fit. Normally I would be a little more finicky in how I cut this one. I want to get it done. This is the bit where it's glued together. Cut that off. Seven and a half. You can certainly go all the way to the outer edges if you want to. See, I cut that too big. Okay. 7 1/4. I am going to use wet glue. I'm going to use Elmer's. I expect to make a mess. So I'm going to use my non-stick glass mat here. And you can use any kind of adhesive you want. I normally use Eileen's Tacky Glue for my wet glue, but I need some time with this. So just white Elmer's glue or any white glue. And a brush. Ooh, too soft. Alright. I'm just going to make sure to get all the way to the edges. And don't put it on too thick. It just doesn't have to be. Alright. I don't have enough water in here for this brush. that's about as crooked as you can be and still be on there. You certainly do not have to do the tie back. That is up to you. Now I'm just using a baby wipe because I got some glue on the back side here. Okay, put this away. I do like to clean up as I go along. I have limited space. Now, we fold these so the hinges peak. Bone folder with a nice crease. Nice and tight there. Do the next one. Press it forward, press it back, because you want these pages to move. So always do that. I made this too long, too tall. That's alright, I'll cut it. I need to cut it before I go too much more because I want the book to open this way. So I'm going to cut this down to a little less than 5.5. I told you my math was stupid. It seemed wrong. But this is the kind of stuff I do off camera all the time. And nobody ever sees my mistakes. Let's just gauche. Like it never happened. Okay. Continue on. Gutter, please. Don't be scared of making mistakes. Sometimes they truly are just creative opportunities, and sometimes they're just plain and simple a learning experience. Okay, now the next thing is to glue together the hinges that we made. And I'm going to use, again, wet glue, but I'm going to use Eileen's Tacky Glue. You can certainly use a score tape if you like. I like glue. It just adheres better, at least in my belief. It does take a little more time, but it's worth it. I live in a humid climate, which makes using score tape problematic, in that sometimes if conditions aren't just right when I'm putting it down, it won't stay down. Watching me do this is much like watching paint dry, but I'm going to keep it all in just so you can see how it comes together. Got our hinges and our gutters coming along just fine. all said and done and put together, gutter to gutter is 1, 2 3/4 of an inch. Nope, it's not. It is yes, 2 3/4 inch from here to here, which is the width you're going to cut your spine. So we'll let this rest. We'll get back our big piece of chipboard, and the spine will be 6 inches by 2 3/4. This lovely long ruler from my art school days. By 6, which just brings this line across. Well, could use either piece. Okay. Now I have a oh darn it. I keep my old blades when they start cutting the paper ratty because it makes a really good score line. To use my it makes a really good score line, and then I can use my craft knife. So find my mark. And these have a line right here. And when I draw lines, I always use that to line up with rather than my scoreboard. Forget and leave it in. I always write on my old one. Not that it wouldn't cut the next piece of paper you put in, but I don't think it would cut it as well as you'd like it cut. Now you certainly can use a ruler and do this, but I'm not going to. And if I take my time, it'll go right in that groove I made. And I've been using a craft knife for so many years. I actually prefer it over scissors for most things. Especially fussy cutting. I never use scissors to fussy cut with. It's much easier to get into the little tight places and to make corners and rounds with this blade. There's the beginnings. This is for the spine. See if it fits on there perfectly. And what it'll do is we'll go have a 1/4 inch here. The next thing to do is to start covering this. Alright, we need to take care of the raw edges that would show here, and the bare chipboard that would show here if we didn't do anything. So I took the width, which is about 3 inches, by 1.5 inches. So I want to make this exact. And you need 2 pieces. And you could certainly do this in a contrasting color. Sometimes you get away with wrapping your chipboard. Or your pattern paper around chipboard if you're careful and slow, which we're going to which I usually do for my covers. This time we're just going to use plain for the sake of the exercise. You can use score tape, you can use glue. I'm going to use my 1/2 inch tape runner for the sake of being quick. So I'm just going to run tape to cover both of these pieces. If you have paper that you think may want to crack, moistening where you're going to fold it can sometimes make a difference. I'm just going to take this and gently rock it over, bring it down. my bone folder here to get a nice flat edge, so it looks nicely finished. Do the same thing on the other end. Just roll it over. And now the edges are covered, as well as that space that would be bare when you put down your spine. So now that's covered up. You need a piece the height of your spine. So for us it's 6 inches. And I cut this at 6 by 7. Just because. You can make these, I wouldn't make them less narrower than you have to. And if you're going to do something like add a decorated piece for the spine, I would certainly do a large piece, and then lay this down over the top of it, because this is going to be, this is the width of my largest embossing folder, which is 5 inches, and that is not very much to hold the covers together. Of course, do what you want. You want to reinforce this with Tyvek, because you will have folds that you don't want to come undone. So again, I'm going to get out my non-stick mat and do some gluing. Darn shame if your spine's cracked and came apart. Or the cover and the spine meet. This should prevent that. That's about the middle. can find the middle, which I did, and you could use your zero-sum ruler here. This is a Tim Holtz Ideology product, but there are other zero rulers. And that makes that center, and it makes that center. Really? No. There we go. Okay. You could just certainly just mark it. That way you don't have to go back and visit it again. And again, I am going to use wet glue. You do not want this separating from its paper. This piece would fit right over here. And this can be done as you're deciding how to finish your cover. We'll set that aside. The next is our 6x8 boards. And I like generous wrap over, so I am going to do 8x10 pieces. What this does, it gives me about an inch all the way around. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put adhesive here. You can use wet glue if you want. This is not where most of the strength is holding the paper on. Now you want to miter the corners, and you can do it one of two ways. You can use your ruler and find the 1/4 inch and eyeball the angle, and there you go. That's sort of perfect. Or you can use one of these perfect trim ruler, perfecttrimruler.com. It's something I acquired a while ago, and it does a perfect miter corner. See how off this was? And to do this with a ruler, the best thing to do is to draw an X. That way you have these lines which to line up your, and that's better, but it's not exactly the same. So there you are. I use this. It wasn't expensive, and it's probably one of the best tools I've ever bought. We just miter off the corners. Next thing I do is take and just gently roll and this helps train the paper for folding. You want it to wrap around the edges and not crack on you. So now I'm going to use score tape. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to burnish it down. Okay, I'm going to do the same to the other side. Tape. Again, just gently roll it over. This side. Burnish Now we do the other two edges. Burnishing is important. It helps this dry adhesive adhere better. The adhesive lost. Now this next step is important for the appearance of your book. See this corner here? Take your finger, you take your bone folder, whatever you want, and just fold it down. Zoom in so you can see that. See how this has been folded over? I'm going to do it on the other side as well. Doing this cack-handed, so forgive me. Okay. Now again, just gently roll it over. That is what that beautiful corner looks like. Yep. Two. Thing in and down. Same thing on the other side. Take your time. And the more of these you do, the easier that little trick becomes. Okay. Cover done. Let's do the other exactly the same way. In case you haven't seen any of my previous videos, this tape gun and the tape is from a website called Tape Jungle, and this is actually 1/2-inch adhesive. They sell both the gun and the adhesive. They also sell the 1/4-inch adhesive for the ATG, the Advanced Tape Glider, and it is considerably less. And I think it's a better adhesive, personal opinion. But it might be worth trying it out and see what you think. But I love my 1/2-inch tape glider. I use it way more than I do the 1/4-inch one. adhesive. To do this makes a difference. Okay, there's our front and back covers. Alright, let's put the hinges on the spine. And I am remaking this part of the video because I had it way off camera. And when I cut the cover for the back, I made it a ½ inch longer, so when it goes onto the book, it can be trimmed down exactly, perfectly, instead of maybe being a little short on one end or the other. Our trimmers don't always cut exactly as we think they are, so I'm going to get some 1-inch score tape. Oh, I'm not going to put it on there because this is shorter. Put it on the back of here. Start at that first score line. Mistakes. A bit of a burnish. I'm going to go from the outer edges to the center with this tape. Again, to that score line, not on top of it. In the middle. Okay. This goes from edge to edge, but I want to try to make it as even as possible, top to bottom. Center it. Okay. Here's our hinge down. And the next thing is to attach the covers. And you need to leave a gap here. And the rule of thumb is two widths. And I have a shim that I created that is just 2 scrap pieces glued together that make the double width. Like that. I'm going to mark so I don't put my adhesive beyond this. I'm going to do this on both sides. Come on. Okay. So I want adhesive from here all the way to the edge. Straight. this right to the edge. There. Oh, okay. Okay. Now put in your shim. Cover front or back, and just line it up. Okay. And you want to glue this down. Start with this outer edge, and I'm not going to oh, bother. It's going to use a piece of 1/2 inch here, because you don't want to go all the way to where this will cover the gutter, because this paper has got to go down, full down into that space. Happen is when you take your bone folder and give it some help here. You want that paper to fold right inside there. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Do the same thing on the other side. Edge. Shim. Forward. Get as even as possible. adhesive on here. I do like this 1-inch score tape. Carefully, slowly, just use your bone folder to get that crease going for the fold. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to trim this. The cover all done. I do have a goober here, but since I'm going to cover it with this, just doesn't matter. Now this does use a lot of paper. I don't use paper, although I do have tons of it that would be envelope weight. I use lightweight cardstock. Again, this is the stuff I buy at Michael's, and I wait till it goes for 3 packs for $1, or 3 packs for $10, which makes them a lot easier on the pocketbook to buy. So what you're going to need is 6 by 7.5 for each page, and you need 2 of them, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch along the 7.5 inch edge, and it's going to fold over. And 2 of these put together make your sleeve. You leave both ends open because one end goes over your hinge. So let's make one of these together. Now before we do that, let me double check and make sure I've got this right. Yeah, I do. My cutting board. There it is. So I need 2 6 by 7.5. If this was a 12 by, I could get 2 out of it, but it's not, so I can't. But there will be, we use this for matting, for creating other decorative pieces. Use it for tags, to make tags. So don't feel like it's wasteful, it's not. My scoreboard. I'm going to score on the long edge, a 1/2 inch. This over. Same thing with the other one. Always fold over the bulge, not the indent. It's the way the paper wants to fold after you've scored it. Okay. I would suggest glue or score tape. Again, I am doing this just because it's a lot faster. You want to put this in not quite on the crease, but right up to the crease. Don't try to wrap it over. Other side the same way. If you want, you can miter these corners in. Your tape is on the side you want it to be, because you need the full use of that space if you're going to have photo mats in the inside. And there you go. An envelope. Now, if after you've put them together, they won't slide easily over the hinges, just miter the hinges just a little bit to give it a little bit of a head start. But there you go. You just need 6 of these, and you're ready to go. Decorate at will. Alright everybody, I'll see you next time. As this will be a free tutorial written, it'll be a PDF on my website, and it will always be free, and so go get it, watch the video as often as you like, and enjoy the heck out of making your next scrapbook. Bye bye.